Eh yun ang kanilang nilabas na kunit. Sorry, sa mga traditional media, yung mainstream media. Why do you have to put that in your banner story as headline, and then you even have to put some sort of question mark? 6 point something billion or 3 point something billion ang questionable transactions or suspected transactions na lumabas dito sa bank account ni BP Sara. That is not headline, that is not news. That is pure and simple propaganda, black propaganda, demolition job against the Vice President.
Economic Zone Authority or ZEZA and many other affiliations. Yung background niya, kaya ang magaling si Attorney Raul Lambino magsalita. He has a Bachelor of Laws degree from University of Pangasinan, graduated with cum laude honors and also valedictorian. Si Attorney Raul Lambino also studied political science degree, also cum laude graduate. And then he graduated Master of Public Management from Ateneo de Manila University. He also took postgraduate studies management programs at the Asian Institute of Management, AIM, and also from the Institute of Small Scale Industries at University of the Philippines, Diliman. He was also academic scholar of Philippine Science High School, Diliman. Aside from being a government official, constitutional reform advocate, he also distinguished himself, si Raul Lambino, as educator. He served as professor of law at University of the East College of Law, also University of Pangasinan College of Law, teaching all kinds of subjects from remedial law to political law for over 2 decades. Also, he used to be also legal and technical consultant for the House of Representatives and for the Senate. Let us welcome a very talented lawyer and political leader, Attorney Raul Lambino.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilson. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, mga minamahal na kababayan. Just some corrections doon sa introduction ni Sir Wilson. Actually, parang naihalo doon yung mga ibang facts for my son, who is now Vice Governor of Pangasinan, Mark. He is the one who graduated sa Philippine Science High School and who took his master's degree for public management in Ateneo and studied at Asian Institute of Management at saka sa University of the Philippines.
Your son pala.
Yeah, my son. Except, yung mga points na yon, hindi po ako yon, yung anak ko yon. Para naman malinaw, no? All the rest at least tama, no? Well, unang-una, pasalamatan ko si Attorney Harold, Vice Mayor Respicio ng Isabela for being with me now. Unang-una pag-usapan natin yung binabanggit ni Wilson about ICC. Then sunod natin siguro mamaya yung tungkol sa impeachment. And still, huwag natin kalimutan yung pinakamalaking usapin na gusto nilang pagtakpan, yung corruption brought about by the President himself in his State of the Nation a year ago. At medyo hindi na nila yata makontrol yung narrative. At titignan natin, nagiging exciting itong situation na ito. At hindi natin alam kung saan ito patutungo. But let us start with the International Criminal Court. Alam naman po natin na tayo naging membro ng ICC sometime in November 1, I think, of 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And then nag-withdraw tayo noong March 17, 2018 through a letter sent by the Department of Foreign Affairs to the ICC. No? And that, in effect, after 1 year, March 17, 2019, wala na, hindi na tayo member ng ICC. But pinagpipilitan ng ICC kasi that a party state, no, would still be under the jurisdiction of the ICC crimes that have been committed by its nationals or within its territorial jurisdiction, while the state is still a party member of ICC, can still be investigated, prosecuted, and tried. Despite the fact na nag-withdraw na yung party state na yon sa ICC. At yun ang kanilang naging decision ng pre-trial chamber nung una. The decision, I think, was promulgated sometime October of 2025. Tapos inappeal ito. Nagkaroon ng decision noong April of 2026 at tapos nga kahapon yung some sort of a motion for reconsideration doon sa appeals chamber. Although hindi naman naging unanimous yung naging decision ng appeals chamber dito sa acquisition of jurisdiction ng ICC. Yun po yung hindi maganda eh. Dahil nawala yung significance ng primacy jurisdiction ng Pilipinas. Nabaliwala yung pagiging sovereign power ng ating bansa. And klaro naman sa Rome Statute na it is still the state concerned that has primacy jurisdiction over crimes that are committed within the jurisdiction of that state if the institutions that dispense justice, like the courts, the prosecutorial arm of government, and the investigative arms of government, like NBI, police, etc., are well in place. Hindi dapat magkaroon ng jurisdiction ang ICC over all crimes that are committed here in the country, whether these are war or crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, or even crimes against aggression. Ito yung apat na mga crimes na sinasabi ng Rome Statute whereby ICC can acquire jurisdiction. There is only one possible exception dyan pag pinag-usapan natin yung war of aggression na hindi naman yun ang kaso ni PRRD. At saka yung kanyang participation, yung term na ginamit nila doon, indirect co-perpetrator. Hindi nga siya, principal by direct participation or principal by indispensable cooperation or by inducement. So, maliwanag talaga na talagang hinila nilang masyado, binanat nila ng gusto yung gagawin para lang magkaroon sila ng poster boy doon sa ICC. Two reasons. Wala nang ibang kaso kasi yung ICC na hinahawakan ngayon kung hindi yung Duterte case lang. And there are millions and millions of dollars being spent by funding states. Most of them are European states and some other Asian states. Pero after that, after the Duterte case, pag dinismiss nila ito, ano bang gagawin nila doon? How can they justify the millions of dollars they are spending for the operation of the ICC? So I think that is one motivation. That is one reason why the ICC has to do everything in order to justify its existence in the eyes of the world. Para meron silang masabing may ginagawa sila. Pangalawa, nakakatakot yung kanilang ginawa ngayon because they have set a precedent that has a retroactive effect in a way. Kaming mga abogado, basic yan. In every law or rule that is passed, if the law is unfavorable to the accused or person that may be tried because of alleged commission of the crime, that law or rule or decision does not have retroactive effect because that is an ex post facto law. Klaro yan, yung principle of ex post facto law in our constitutional law and in the constitutional law of other countries or even in international law, it cannot be applied because any decisions, any ruling, any issuance, or any law for that matter that is enacted can only have prospective application. Pero this particular case of PRRT, binigyan nila ng retroactive application yung kanilang decision to acquire jurisdiction over the person of PRRD. Despite the fact na meron nga yung tinatawag nila dyan, yung nag-withdraw na tayo, 1 year na yung nakakaraan eh. Remember that the investigation was only authorized by the pre-trial chamber sometimes 2021. 2021 na nila ito inauthorize yung investigation. And we were no longer member of the ICC as of March 17, 2019. So 2 years thereafter pa lang nila nag-issue ng authority to investigate the alleged crime against humanity. At ito yung nakakabahala because I think this was April of 2021, if my memory serves me right, na doon nag-umpisa yung pagbigay nila ng authority sa mga investigador ng ICC. And they keep coming into the country from 2021, 2022, 2023, and up to 2024, no? Doon, napabalita naman na nagipagpulong itong mga ICC investigators dito sa matataas na mga opisyal ng pamahalaan at karamihan sa mga ito, sila yung sinasabing nasasangkot ngayon sa mga anomalyang flood control projects kung saan daang-daang bilyon kung hindi trilyon ang nawalang pera ng taong bayan na nailagay sa mga maleta na kung saan ito dinala, maaring siguro may mga maletang nakarating pa sa the Netherlands. Kaya, kaduda-duda talaga itong naging desisyon ng ICC. At ang masakit nito, hindi katulad dito sa ating bansa, pag nagkaroon ng preliminary investigation, ang, let us say, Department of Justice, o kaya ang Ombudsman, padadalhan ng notice or summon or subpoena yung respondent para maghain ng kanyang mga counter affidavits doon sa mga complaints, allegations in the complaints para sagutin. Wala pang issuance ng warrant of arrest. Preliminary investigation pa lang yun eh. And even if there is already a findings doon sa preliminary investigation that a crime may have been committed, that's the only time na pupunta sa korte at magre-request, magpa-file ng information, then mag-request for the issuance of a warrant of arrest. At yung judge ay examinin niya ng may tindi itong mga binahaing mga ebidensya and determine the existence of probable cause. Pag may probable cause, then that's the time that they will issue a warrant of arrest. Doon sa ICC, baliktad. Ano pa lamang yun? Investigation pa lang. Determining lang whether there is a commission of a crime, a probable cause that a crime may have been committed by a person. Nag-issue na sila kaagad ng warrant of arrest. And that warrant of arrest was used by the Interpol in coordination with the Philippine authorities to effect the so-called rendition, extrajudicial rendition, or kidnapping of PRRD, which in our laws, talagang yun ay hindi tugma. So yun po yung situation ngayon. Itong naging desisyon nitong accused chamber denying the defense of its right to question the jurisdiction of the chamber. So, ang susunod na yan, in-trial na. Dito sa atin, yun would be considered a denial of due process under our constitutional law. Pero yun po yung masakit. Tignan natin kung anong mangyayari sa susunod. Then, I'll reserve the other comments later after Attorney Harold.
Thank you very much to Attorney Raul Lambino for giving us opinion niya, but this is just the beginning. Please be ready with your questions. Very interesting mga topics raised and discussed by Attorney Raul Lambino. Next, to give our opening statement dito, our next speaker is one of the most charismatic young political leaders in the Philippines. He has been elected Vice Mayor of Reyna Mercedes, Isabela Province. Attorney Harold Resvicio is a CPA lawyer. Accounting siya, graduate, but ano pala siya? Juris Doctor degree graduate of Ateneo de Manila University with honors. Also, he is a certified public accountant, CPA, from De La Salle University. Also passed the bar in New York. Nagtrabaho siya for at one time in the largest accounting firm in Asia, SGB Ernst & Young, also sa Deloitte. Ang areas of niya is tax law, corporate law, litigation, etc. So, election law, marami siyang expertise in law. Newly elected Vice Mayor of Reyna Mercedes. Let us welcome the very charismatic and courageous also, like Attorney Raul Lambino, Attorney Harold Resvicio, Vice Mayor, for opening statement.
Mali po ang desisyon ng ICC kahapon. Ang desisyon na tinake nila ay husgahan kung meron silang jurisdiction over the case. Meron pong isang dissenting opinion at majority ay sinabi nilang meron silang jurisdiction over the case. Pero ang tamang decision po ay yung isang nag-dissent, si Judge Kotse, Lord Chimpanse. Tama yung pronunciation ko. Pero ito ang sinabi niya. Sabi niya, nung nag-withdraw tayo mula sa Rome Statute nung 2019, ay wala ng jurisdiction yung ICC nung 2021. Ano ba yung nakalagay doon sa batas? Sabi, merong residual jurisdiction yung ICC for any matter under consideration by the court. Under consideration by the court. Sino ang court? Yung judge ba? Yung prosecutor ba? Yung clerk of court? Or yung staff? Sino? Yung judge, hindi ba? Kapag nagsabi ba yung prosecutor, ito ang gagawin nyo, action ba yun ng korte o action ng prosecutor? Action ng prosecutor. Kapag sinabi ba ng clerk of court o ng staff, ganito ang gagawin natin, action ba yun ng court? Hindi action yun ng court. Ang tanging authority lang na pwedeng gumawa ng action ay yung judge. Kaya noong 2021, doon lamang nag-act yung mga judge. Doon lang nila inauthorize ang investigation 2021. So doon lang kinonsider ng court yung matter. Pero, member ba tayo nung 2021? Hindi. Dahil nung 2019 pa lang, hindi na tayo member. Parang corporation din yan eh. Ang sabi kasi ng majority sa decision ay, merong isang provision dun sa Rome Statute na sinasabi, the court shall be composed by the chambers, the prosecutor, the registry, and the presidency. Sabi nila, kasama sa court yung prosecutor. Tama ba yun? Mali yun. Dahil ang korte ay yung judge lamang. Ano ang kapareho niyan? Parang korporasyon lang yan ng Pilipinas. Ano ba ang isang korporasyon? Board of Directors, employees, director, and officers, staff. Kapag gumawa ba ng hakbang yung staff or yung empleyado lamang ng korporasyon, gawa ba yun ng korporasyon? Hindi. Hindi po. Dahil ang authorized lang na pwedeng mag-act on behalf of the corporation ay yung board of directors. Ganon din po doon sa ICC. Kahit sinabi niya na kasama sa court yung prosecutor, yung registry, at yung chambers, who are the judges, ang authorized lamang na gumawa ng act on behalf of the ICC is yung chambers. Kaya yung bagay lamang na under consideration ng court ay yung bagay na inaktuhan ng chambers noong 2021. Yung sinasabi nila na humakbang naman na yung prosecutor noong 2018. Kaya under consideration na daw ng court. Nag-issue tayo ng notice of withdrawal noong 2018. At doon sa Rome Statute, merong 1 taon para maging effective yung withdrawal. So which happened and became effective noong 2019. Yun ang sinasabi ni Judge Gotche. Merong 1 taon yung chambers na gumawa ng hakbang mula nung notice natin ng 2018 hanggang 2019 para formally i-authorize yung investigation para ipasok under consideration by the court yung matter bago pa maging effective yung withdrawal natin noong 2019 para sana wala tayong lusot. Pero hindi sila gumawa ng hakbang between 2018 and 2019. At 2021 lang sila gumawa ng hakbang. Kaya hindi sila pasok sa window. Kaya kapag sinasabi ng batas na meron lamang residual jurisdiction yung ICC for any matter under consideration by the court, ay yun lang dapat yung mga matter under consideration noong gumawa ng hakbang, yung chambers noong 2021. Hindi ko lang po opinion yun. Opinion iyon ng isang judge doon sa ICC. So, mali yung majority. Meron pa ba tayong magagawa? Wala na po eh. Supranational na yun eh. Binigay nga natin yung jurisdiction natin para tayong tanga eh. Yung Supreme Court nga natin, hindi natin pinansin, diniretso kaagad natin doon sa ICC. Pero alam niyo po ang solusyon dyan? Gayahin natin yung Amerika. Meron silang tinatawag na The Hague Invasion Act. Dahil alam ng Amerika na weaponized itong ICC para i-undermine yung political jurisdiction ng mga state. At alam ng Amerika na pwedeng pakialaman ng mga nagmamagaling sa ICC yung mga internal politics ng isang bansa at hindi papayag dapat ang isang bansa na ganun ang mangyari. Kaya gumawa sila ng The Hague Invasion Act para kapag kahit na isang politiko mula sa Amerika ang arestuhin ng ICC, ay authorized ang military ng United States to do any means para bawiin yung politikang Amerikano na yon pabalik sa Amerika. At kung kinakailangan kahit i-invade yung The Hague. Dahil kung nasa pinakamataas na tayo na legal body, ang tanging paraan na lang dyan ay war! Invasion! Pwede natin gawin yun. Huwag kayong mag-alala kapag maging senador na si Atty. Raul Lempino, gagawa rin siya ng The Hague Invasion Act. At sa panahon na ni VP Sara Duterte ay lalakas na ang ating militar. Mas malakas siya sa the Netherlands. At i-invade natin yung The Hague at babawiin natin si Digong. Alright? Okay, pumunta po tayo sa issue ng impeachment kahapon. Tanong ko po kayo, kapag kayo po ay naliligo, ilang timba ng tubig ang nagagamit ninyo? 2 timba? Pagkatapos ninyong maligo, di ba wala nang laman yung timba? Pero sinasabi mo ba pagkatapos mong maligo, pagkatapos na yung laman ng timba, masasabi mo pa rin bang meron kang 2 timba ng tubig o wala na? Wala na, hindi ba? Ganon din yung salin at saka amlak. Yung mga amlak, yun yung mga pumasok at lumabas na pera. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na may pumasok at lumabas na pera ay ganun kakayaman sa huli. Kasi parang negosyo po yan. Maraming pumasok na pera, baka mas marami pa pala yung gastos. Lugi ka pa in the end. Baka negative ka pa pagdating sa huli. Parang paligo din po yan. Kung merong lumabas na 2 timba doon sa gripo at 2 timba rin yung tinago mo, pagdating sa huli, 0 rin yung laman ng timba. Kahit sabihin nila na magkano pa yung dumaan sa mga accounts ni VP Sara Duterte sa kanyang mga bank account, pero yung mga nakadeclare doon sa SALN ay hindi rin reflect yung mga amount na yun, hindi po iyon questionable. Reasonable po iyon. Dahil ang sinusukat ng mga transaksyon ay yung flow ng pera, pero hindi yung natirang pera. Ang sinusukat ng SALN ay yung snapshot, yung natirang pera. For all we know, ang daming mga transaksyon, mga negosyo at mga tao sa Pilipinas na mas malakas gumastos kaysa tumanggap ng pera. Kaya understandable po na baka hindi magtapat yung amount na nasa transaksyon mula sa AMLA at doon sa SAL. Ngayon po doon sa impeachment. Sa impeachment po, kailangan mong patunayan yung mga offense na nakomit ng impeachable officer. Noong ipinakita nila yung mga AMLAC transaction, yung mga SALN, ano yung mga offense na tinutukoy mo? Wala naman, gumagawa ka lang ng intriga. Masasabi mo bang graft and corruption? Hindi mo naman dinescribe yung nature ng mga transaction. Sinasabi mo na kulang yung laman ng SALN, wala ka namang dinescribe na hindi na-declare or saan kinuha yung pera or illegal yung pinanggalingan ng pera. Kung baga, nang-iintriga ka lang, malisyoso ka lang. Kung titignan mo lahat ng mga information na yan, walang mali po. Hindi po sapat yung mga facts na yan para mag-establish ng elements of the crime nga eh. Kung titignan ninyo yung House rules, kailangan doon sa pagboto, ultimate facts, tapos reasonable grounds na makonvict or probable cause na makonvict. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mong insta lahat ng element, lahat ng facts, at kasama dun sa facts na yun, yung elements ng offense. Pero kung wala kang linagay na facts na tumutukoy na nagtatay ng mga circumstances na to sa isang offense, wala kang kaso. Puro circumstances lang ang pinakita mo. Kaya ngayon, mula doon sa complaint hanggang doon sa hearing nila ngayon, wala silang tinukoy na specific offense na illegal, na may nangyaring bribery o corruption or consideration ng palitan ng pera na unlawful. Wala. Ang ginagawa nila ngayon ay fishing expedition. Naghahanap sila ng butas. Lahat na lang kukunin nila hanggat mahanap nila yung magko-consolidate ng lahat ng facts na yun. Sana nagpe-pray sila na lumabas yung illegal circumstance na magtatay together ng circumstances. Hindi po pwede yun. Kapag hindi mo iyon na-allege doon sa complaint, hindi mo pwedeng ilabas lamang dito sa accusatory and investigative phase. Dahil fishing expedition mo. Wala siya in the first place, hindi mo pwedeng hanapin ngayon. Trabaho po yan ng prosecution at ng complainant. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Harold Respicio. Para tayong nakaroon ng crash course from two legal experts on international law, constitutional law, pati impeachment. Please be ready with your questions. Thank you for joining the Pandesal Forum. We are non-partisan Pandesal Forum dito. Everybody welcome dito, kaya we are very happy to have two legal experts and very talented, courageous politicians speaking out on these hot issues. Anong mga question nyo? Please raise your hand. Ask any questions. Ang tanong dito, what do you see naman about the Congressman Saldico situation now? Makakabalik ba siya or hindi? And may reaction ba kayo sa statements of former Speaker Martin Romualdez? Tinatanong dito na parang the statement daw of former Speaker Martin Romualdez seems to be critical also of the government. Parang, how do you see the situation now?
Okay. Before I go to this new issue about Saldico and former House Speaker Romualdez,
Yes.
I just want to add more about ICC, no? Para maintindihan po ninyo, yung ICC or the International Criminal Court is not part of the entities under the United Nations. It is not. Marami kasi ang nagsasabi na, oh, pwede pa yan, masolusyonan yan kasi punta ka sa UN Security Council. Hindi po, kasi yung ICC is a separate independent body. Although nagkaroon ng some sort of an agreement ang United Nations Security Council and ICC, some sort of a cooperation agreement that if a state or a country is not a member of the Rome Statute, so it's not a member of ICC, and any of the 4 crimes that fall under the jurisdiction of ICC, war crimes, crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and a war of aggression, the UN Security Council, by a vote of 9 members, with no objection from the 5 permanent members, can refer the matter to the ICC in order to investigate and prosecute the act that was committed in a non-member state. Yan ang nangyari sa Libya at saka sa Sudan. Okay. To be clear about this, may mga nagtatanong din sa akin, pwede pa bang i-appeal yung decision ng ICC dito sa kaso ni Tate Digong at kung saan? No? I say this na yun po yung masakit sa sitwasyon. Kasi sa parang nung araw, yung Sandigan Bayan natin was being questioned by some as violation of due process because that would deny the respondent or the accused of a right to appeal. Kasi nga, yung Sandigan Bayan is a court that tries cases. Tapos, wala ka ng appeal kung hindi magpunta ka na lang sa Supreme Court on a petition for review. Whereas pag ang crime ay fall under the jurisdiction of the regional trial court, then you have the Court of Appeals, mag-appeal ka, tapos meron ka pang another recourse going up to the Supreme Court. Itong masakit, doon sa ICC, wala na After the decision of the appeals chamber has been issued, wala ka ng ibang recourse. No appeal. And therefore, sa aking position, talagang short-handed itong ICC and it would be a denial of due process of law as we understand it, especially if we think of criminal laws that are supposed to be interpreted always in favor of the accused and against the government or prosecution. But anyway, sinabi ni Attorney Harold kanina na gayain natin yung Hague Invasion Act ng Amerika. Totoo yun, merong ganun ang Amerika kasi powerful militarily ang Amerika. The most powerful country in the world. Pero meron tayong remedy. But this is more of a diplomacy. Pag nagbago po yung administrasyon dito sa Pilipinas, I am not saying it's gonna happen in 2028. Maybe, if God wills, baka mangyari pa before 2028. You never tell. No. Alam natin, lahat ng members ng ICC ay sovereign states. Mga bansa rin yan At karamihan sa mga bansang ito, meron tayong diplomatic relations, ang Philippines. Like for example, Japan. Japan, I think, is now the presidency of ICC is a Japanese diplomat. At malakas yung binibigay nilang financial support sa ICC. Many European countries from the European Union, they are the one funding ICC, France, UK, etc. Especially Scandinavian countries. Now, if there is a change of leadership in the Philippines, sabi nga namin ni Attorney Harold and the others, we believe that it is inevitable that Vice President Sara Duterte will become president in 2028. And if there is a change of leadership in the Philippines, then the Philippines can exercise its so-called diplomatic powers through our foreign relations, geopolitics, etc., to persuade friendly nations, which are members of the ICC, to take a look at the situation of PRRD before the ICC. Yun lamang po ang magagawa natin sa ngayon. Other than that, wala na pong legal recourse na available pursuant to the Rome Statute. Now, going back to the impeachment, napakaganda yung paliwanag ni Attorney Harold. Comparing the situation of the AMLA executive director pronouncements or statements or however you are going to call it regarding this so-called billions of pesos transaction that have occurred in the bank accounts of VP Sara and her husband from 2005 ba? Yung sinako po 2007. I can't remember the exact year. But it is way beyond the period by which the president or vice president should be considered to have committed any act that may possibly be impeachable, and that should be by 2022 to 2026 or 2025. You don't have to consider the other transactions before that because she was maybe vice mayor of Davao, then became mayor of Davao, etc. But those transactions had occurred when she was not yet vice president. And in transaction, kahit na ako, meron akong bank account, meron akong checking account and savings account, tubo. Maraming pumapasok doon ng mga transactions. Pag binayaran ako ng kliyente ko, pumapasok doon. Pag nagbayad din ako, whether that is for my bills, fast telephone, television, internet, etc., naniningil ng utang doon, lumalabas. Eh yun ang kanilang nilabas sa sorry, sa mga traditional media, yung mainstream media. Why do you have to put that in your banner story as headline and then you even have to put some sort of question mark? 6 point something billion or 3 point something billion ang questionable transactions or suspected transactions na lumabas dito sa bank account ni VP Sara. That is not headline, that is not news. That is pure and simple propaganda, black propaganda, demolition job against the Vice President. Because we are talking only here, supposed to be, kung ano ang naiwan na pera doon sa kanyang banks from 2022 to 2026. And the transactions that have occurred within that period, hindi ganun ang presentation sa media Yun ang nakakasama ng loob na itong mga mainstream media, supposed to be, you are the ones, the fourth estate na sinatawag natin, na kayo ang nagsasabi kung ano talaga ang dapat. Pero hindi. In your headlines, television, radio, as well as in the newspaper, you put that some sort. Binigyan nyo yung sabi nyo, 6 billion, 3. It is something that is so disappointing pag nakita mo. You are no longer doing your right job to keep the public informed of real events that took place. And then you are going to say that that is news. That is not news. That is black propaganda. Yun ang aking opinion dyan. Kaya, wala talagang makikita na mali doon sa mga transactions na yan. Bank transactions. And what the Committee on Justice keeps on doing is, hindi nga fishing expedition ang tawag ko dyan Kasi, insulto sa mga fishermen natin yan. Wala namang dagat o tubig doon sa Kongreso. Ba't ka magkakaroon ng pangingisda doon sa Kongreso? Mangisda ka doon sa West Philippine Sea o kaya sa river sa Cagayan. Doon ang fishing expedition para mapakinabangan ng taong bayan. But if you are going to turn the Congress of the Philippines in order to fish evidence, malansa yung ebidensya. Kung meron man kayong makukuha ng ebidensya. And that is not allowed under our existing rules and procedures. Yes.
Thank you very much. Ito na. Yes. Ano ito na? Filipino Star ngayon. Yes.
Malalampasan yung impeachment now that napakarami po ng sinasabing mga nangyari during her term.
Well, klarong-klaro naman na yung ginagawa nila sa House Committee on Justice ngayon. Imagine that it is live sa lahat ng mga media, both traditional and social media. This is more of a vilification campaign against her. This is nothing but a political demolition job against Vice President Sara because she is the most popular public official of the land now. And all surveys indicate, even the surveys that are being conducted by the administration, that she is the person to beat in the presidential election in 2028. So they have to come up with something that will somehow destroy her credibility so that in the eyes of the public, bababa yung trust and approval rating niya. Now, as to whether she will be impeached by the House, eto, klaro naman, kaya nilang kunin yung 106 members of the House. I am pretty sure of that. Given the kind of political system that we have and the power of the presidency or the power of the administration, that it can directly influence the decision or the votes of the members of the House, they can definitely impeach the Vice President. But whether the matter in the Senate, once it reaches the Senate, referred to the Senate, and the Senate convenes as an impeachment court, whether they can get 2/3 vote, that I don't think could be possible at this point in time. That's the reason why we have seen this playbook in Corona impeachment. Doon sa Corona impeachment, no? Ganon ang ginawa nila kay Chief Justice Renato Corona, dali Chief Justice Corona. Wala silang ebidensya doon sa kanilang mga allegations in the complaint, wala silang ebidensya doon sa mga prinisenta ng prosecution sa Committee on Justice noon. And then it reaches the Senate, and even in the Senate, wala silang ebidensya until nakuha nila itong salin na yan that resulted in the demolition of the Chief Justice. And with the help of the media, which demonized the late Chief Justice Corona, then the senators who are not judges per se, they are politicians in the first place. They are not trained in law. They don't understand even the simple meaning of a sub judice. So they keep on trying to vilify, to prosecute, and eventually convict the respondent before the eyes of the public. And the politicians, unfortunately, kaming dalawa ni Harold, pareho rin kaming politiko. Politicians are easily persuaded by public opinion.
My next question po is, may nabasa po ako na pag daw po hindi nakayanan ni VP Sara na malampasan yung impeachment, ready daw pong ipalit si Baste. Can you react, sir, if Baste, how credible is Baste to replace Sara on the 2028 election?
Well, in the first place, Baste or any Filipino for that matter, who is a Filipino, natural-born Filipino citizen, at least 40 years old, able to read and write. Ano pa yung isang qualification? No? Natural-born Filipino, able to read and write, no? Registered voter, can qualify to run for president. So anybody na have all these important constitutional qualifications, I can run. Whether he is going to win or not, that is another matter. It's very subjective yan. Pero I'm going to tell you a while ago. Kanina bago ako pumunta dito, my 3-year-old granddaughter, yung apo ko, sabi niya sa akin, Lolo, I'll give you a sticker, a tattoo. Sabi niya, so tinatun niya ako rito, sayang, na-erase nung naligo ako eh. Kasi alam niya rito, sabi ko, nawala yung tattoo. Sabi ko, would that mean something that is related to somebody who has a tattoo? And there are only two persons that I know of. Si VP Sara Duterte, may tattoo yun. May tattoo rin si Baste. Now, can Baste be another potential candidate? Sabi ko, anybody, more particularly if he or she is a Duterte, would be a strong candidate for whatever position they are going to run in the national elections, president, vice president, or senators. Survey shows that if Baste Duterte will run for the Senate or Congressman Pulong Duterte will run in the Senate in 2028, they are sure winners. Sure winners yan. So, tignan natin kung ano mangyayari.
Thank you very much. Feel free to ask any questions. May tanong pa dito. What are your comments naman about what's happening with the Philippine economy now? We are one of the highest in diesel and gasoline. And may nagtanong dito, watching via Facebook Live, the biggest news in the world is the Iran-US-Israel war. Pero how come daw in the Philippines ang nasa headline news daw puro political quarreling, impeachment? Is it appropriate? Parang our priorities might be not correct daw, sabi ng someone watching via Facebook Live. Any comments?
Yes. Caution, I am not an economist, but I've been reading a lot about economic indicators. I did not take up economics in college, or what, maybe only a few subjects while I was in college, but I am deeply interested about geopolitics, geoeconomics all over the world. Recently, naglabas ang Fitch Ratings. Fitch Ratings is one of the three ratings organization in the world. The other one is Moody's and S&P Global Ratings. These are the three ratings organization that have been recognized by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission that will determine, analyze the economic situation and financial situation of any country in the world, whether a country is so-called attractive to investments or not. Okay? And sadly, its ratings downgraded the Philippines from some sort of sustainable to negative. Meaning to say, sinasabi na wag na kayong mag-invest dyan sa Pilipinas. Kasi maraming factors ang rason dyan. Una, walang maipakita ang Pilipinas na good physical infrastructure like highways, airports, seaports, etc., which are supposed to be economic drivers, Ramnehadro dyan, that will pave the way for better economic growth and possibly increase the gross domestic product of the Philippines. Pangalawa, because of the scandal of corruption na nangyayari sa Pilipinas ngayon. Alam nyo, yung mga investors, financial managers, allergic sila sa corruption. Takot na takot yung mga yan. Pangatlo, the Philippines doesn't have enough supposed to be so-called buffer stock of fuel or oil. Wala tayong oil reserves eh. No? Whether that oil reserve is operational or strategic, none at all. Maasa tayo na sana meron tayong mabibiling supply sa buong mundo. Pangapat, we don't have that big monetary reserve. And that's the reason why, sabi ng mga itong rating agencies sa buong mundo, the mere fact that the Philippines has increased its threshold of debt to equity or debt to GDP ratio from the original 60% to more than that, to 70%. That means na kailangan nating umutang para ma-sustain natin yung budgetary requirements, ma-finance natin yung expenditures ng government. And that is very dangerous because that is inflationary. Inflationary in the sense that you only increase debt to GDP ratio if a country is a manufacturing country like China, the United States, Japan. Okay lang yun kahit mag-exceed ng 100%. Pwede kang ng ganung klaseng program. Pero ang Pilipinas hindi eh. Consumer economy tayo, umaasa tayo sa consumption. Umaasa tayo sa retail, umaasa tayo sa importation. Panglima, no? Yung inflation rate natin last year was less than 2%. This year, the inflation rate is already more than 4%. It could even reach to over 5%. And all these economic indicators will say, bagsak yung ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Even the leaders of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry have warned already that the Philippines may be overtaken by Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Imagine that, pati Myanmar na kung saan merong ongoing civil war dyan ngayon. And we would be overtaken by these countries. We have been overtaken by Thailand, by Vietnam, Malaysia, ang layo na, Singapore, Indonesia, ang layo na ng ngayon. But we will be overtaken by these three countries in Southeast ASEAN. Anong mukhang ihaharap natin ngayon? This year, when we are going to be the host of the ASEAN Plus Summit that will be held in the country. There are now ongoing ministerial meetings of the ASEAN in our country, tourism, DFA, finance, etc. Alam po ninyo ako, madalas po ako magipagtalastasan sa ibang mga leaders dito sa Asia. At tinatanong nila ako, bakit ganon ang nangyayari sa inyong bansa? Wala po akong maisagot. And that is the reason why I'm so not just disappointed, I'm so worried of our economic situation. Dahil bababa ang remittances ng overseas Filipino workers ngayong taon na ito for sure. We would not be able to reach $38 billion of remittance from our overseas Filipino workers. Given the fact that we are susceptible to the Middle East crisis that's happening right now. Wala nang may padala na pera yung ating mga overseas Filipino workers ngayon gagaling sa Middle East. Ang laki po ng mawawala. And given that there's no adequate supply that we can buy, if we have money to spend to buy oil products, saan tayo bibili? Ako, I can say to you, with all honesty, in my capacity as a private citizen and with my little network with Russia and China, I've been talking to Russian companies and Chinese companies, so please help us. Please help us because 95% of our oil product consumption come from the Middle East. And if we cannot get the supply from the Middle East, the only country that would possibly supply us oil products would be Russia. But Russia has to pass that through China. Tapos aawayin mo yung China. Walang makakarating dito ng mga oil products. And if I'm going to talk of oil products, I'm not just referring to gasoline, diesel, or LPG. I'm referring to other important products like, for example, fertilizer and other polyethylene materials na kailangan natin sa bansa.
Thank you, Attorney Raul Lambino. Vice Mayor Espicio, baka may comment kayo about the economy and ang Fitch ratings daw change our economic outlook from stable to negative. Anong comment ninyo na sa sinabi?
More than anything, ang kailangan ng ating bansa ngayon ay moral leadership. Kapag kayo po ay nasa isang pamilya at naghihirap po ang inyong pamilya, gusto nyo bang nag-aaway ang magulang ninyo? Gusto nyo ba na ang tatay ninyo ay nagpapakita at binibigyan kayo ng inspirasyon na magtrabaho? Gusto nyo ba na nakikita ninyo ang inyong ama na nagtatrabaho? Yun po ang hindi ginagawa ni BBM. Tayo po ay nasa gitna ng krisis. Tayo po ay naghihirap. Pero absent siya all the while. At lahat ng ginawa niya ay inaaway niya ang ina ng ating bansa. Ngayon, ang mga Pilipino lugmok na lugmok. Ganado ba tayong magtrabaho o hindi? Hindi po. Yung mga katransaksyon natin sa ibang bansa, ganado ba silang makipagtransaksyon sa atin o hindi? Hindi. Kasi yung pamilya nga natin, hindi natin maayos eh. Mali ang priorities ng ating ama. Totoo po yan. Pagdating sa national policy, ang gobyerno ay maliit lamang ang magagawa pagdating sa economics. Dahil ang nagpapatakbo ng economic ay free markets. And it is a social dynamics by and large. And mahirap siyang kontrolin ng centralized power. Pero the least you could do as a leader is to give moral support. Hindi yung nagbabangayan kayo parati. Kailangan at inaabuso mo pa ang iyong legal and constitutional process para awayin ang iyong asawa, ang pangalawang leader ng iyong bansa. Lalo't mahal na mahal siya ng iyong mga anak. Tingnan natin sa survey. Sino ang mas mahal? Si BBM o si Sara? Si Sara. Lalo na't ang tingin sa atin ng bansa ay napakakurap natin. Kaya nga ako bilang Ilocano, si Atty. Raul Lambino ay Ilocano din yan. May sentiment kami kay BBM kahit konti. Kasi nung tumakbo siya noong 2022, pagkakataon namin yan na mabawi ang pride namin eh. Gusto namin siyang bumawi. Pero puro absent. Kaya nga nung mga nakaraang araw, natuwa ako, nagpakita, nag-exercise, nag-jumping siya. Kahit may mga chismis na totoong may sakit siya, makasulimot lang nung araw na iyon. Huwag mo munang pansinin yun. Pagbigyan mo muna, yan, karis mo muna, parang bata. Sige, ganyan lang. Magpakita ka lang na malakas ka, na nagtatrabaho ka araw-araw. Araw-arawin mo yan. Bigyan mo ng inspirasyon ang mga Pilipino para sa kahirapan na dinadanas natin ngayon, hindi tayo masyadong malungkot. At sa'yo kami kukuha ng inspirasyon. At dalhin mo ang Pilipinas pabalik sa prosperity. At itigil mo na yung mga hindi productive na gawain, katulad ng pag-i-impeach kay VP Sara Duterte. Dahil kahit na anong gawin ninyo, hindi po yan benta sa taong bayan. Hindi yan benta sa mga Pilipino. Hindi yan benta sa mga ibang bansa. Hindi rin yan benta sa international community. Yung Japanese ambassador na nag-comment sa UN, di ba? Na pinapersecute natin yung mga Duterte. Hindi yan benta sa lahat. Pero napakaliit ng paningin ninyo. Bulag na bulag kayo sa pera. Nabayaran lang kayo. O sige. Push lang ng push. Kung ano ang isinulsul sa inyo. Gusto ninyong i-push na maging presidente. Si Romualdez, di ba yun ang naman ang tanging dahilan simula ng umpisa kaya gusto ninyong impeach si Sara? Eh ngayon, talo na siya. Lumabas siya nung isang araw. Inamin niya na totoong may nakawan, di ba? Hindi niya naman itinanggi na may nakawan. Ang ginawa niya, isinisi niya lang sa executive. Parang si Voldemort si BBM eh. He who cannot be named. Ang may kasalanan daw ay yung the executive. Si Zaldico at saka si Chis Escudero. Lahat daw sila may kasalanan. At nanakot pa. Ang dami daw niya alam tungkol sa current administration at yung mga nakaraang administration. Kaya ang tanging hinihiling daw niya ay gawin itong legal process. Maging stricto sa legal process. Dahil alam niya, ninervyos eh, lumabas siya kasi na-aresto si Zaldico eh. alam niya kapag aalis siya, tatakas yung mokong na yan. At ngayon, naiipit na siya. So, magkukumpul-kumpul na silang lahat. Si Romualdez, si Zaldico. Kapag nagsama lahat yung mga yan, pagsak pati si Villar. Yun ba ang gusto natin mangyari sa ating bansa? Hindi po. Yun ba ang kailangan natin ngayon? More corruption? More kalusot? More pang-aaway sa isa't isa? Hindi po. Ibalik po natin ang tiwala ng taong bayan, tiwala ng international community sa pamamagitan ng pagtrabaho ng tama ng ating tungkulin. Kung ikaw ay presidente ng Pilipinas, itigil na ang korupsyon. At i-prosecute mo yung mga corrupt talaga. At itigil mo yung pang-iipit ng iyong kalaban. Dahil futile na po yung exercise ng impeachment ni VP Sara Duterte. Dahil sumuko na rin pati si Romualdez, hindi natatakbo yan. Dahil alam niyang sira na rin ang pangalan niya. At alam niyang babagsak siya at sinabi niya dun sa speech niya na lahat ay dadalhin niya pabagsak.
Thank you very much. Very thought-provoking analysis by two legal experts and dynamic, courageous politicians. Attorney Raul Lambino and Attorney and Vice Mayor Harold Respicio. Do you have one or two more last questions before we request for the closing statement? May guest tayo dyan na taga-radio kanina. Yes. So, okay. We'd like to request our two distinguished leaders to give their closing statement. Let us start muna with Attorney Raul Lambino. How do you summarize what's happening? Again, paki-summarize ulit for the public and for our media friends. ICC case, impeachment, and flood control scandal.
Thank you, Wilson. Yeah. Una, yung ICC, tulad ng nabanggit ko kanina, naipost ko na rin ito sa aking Facebook page as early as last week na hindi talaga ako hopeful na magkakaroon ng favorable judgment yung ICC for Tatay Digong. And true enough, ganun nga nangyari. But again, nananawagan ako sa ating bayan, sa ating mga minamahal na kababayan na ipagpatuloy pa rin po natin yung pagdadasal na sana ay manatiling malakas si Tatay Digong na malampasan niya itong suliranin na ito at makabalik siyang buhay dito sa ating bansa sa lalong madaling panahon. Pangalawa, yung pinag-usapan nating impeachment, tama si Atty. Harold dyan, wala nang mangyayari dyan kung hindi talagang masisira yung bansa natin. At nakakadismaya, pag tingnan mo yung mga membro po ng Kongreso, lalong-lalo na nasa Committee on Justice, na kung sino yung mga mapursige, na kung ano-ano na yung kanilang binabato, laban kay BP Sara at kung sino-sino na nang pinapatawag para lang magkaroon sila ng media exposure, ay ito yung mga membro ng Kongreso na nababanggit na sasangkot sa mali-malitang pera na alinsunod doon sa affidavit ng 18 mga bayaning sundalo na lumabas kamakailan lamang. Kung meron pa po sanang delikadesang naiiwan, ay nag-inhibit na sana itong mga ito. Pero tulad nga ng sinabi ko nga, hindi naman ito mga quiz, hindi naman ito mga judges, parang wala sa kanila yung importance of to recuse or to inhibit themselves from proceedings kung saan ay pwedeng meron silang conflict of interest. So asahan natin na magkakaroon sila ng decision at ipagpipilitan pa rin nila yung kanilang pag-demolish kay BP Sara. Pangatlo, itong issue ng corruption na gusto nilang pagtakpan pero hindi na nila mapagtatakpan Dahil meron silang gustong isalba. Kung sino man yung gusto nilang isalba, pero isasakripisyo nila itong mga personalidad na katulad ni Saldico o kaya nito na si House Speaker Martin Romualdez. At itong mga naging pahayag nitong nakaraang araw ay nagiging parang exciting yung situation. Una, hindi natin alam kung totoo gang inaresto si Saldico sa Czech Republic dahil hanggang ngayon wala pang lumalabas na konkretong impormasyon. Pero I gave the President the benefit of the doubt, he being the highest official of the country and holder of vital intelligence information that ordinary citizens like you and me do not have. Maaring meron siyang intelligence information o kaya sensitive information na hindi pwedeng ilantad kagat, whatever that is. So hintayin natin dahil may mga lumabas na report na nagipag-ugnayan ng Department of Foreign Affairs at sa Department of Justice doon sa Czech Republic at patungkol sa sakaling pagpapawi kay Saldico. We want him back in the country. We want him back in the country at tingnan natin kung mapapangatawanan ni Saldico yung kanyang mga unang pinahayag sa social media with his videotape statements tungkol nga dito sa malawakang corruption that implicated no less than the President and other high-ranking officials of the country. Tapos lumabas na itong video message naman ni dating House Speaker Martin Romualdez. He named two personalities that are directly involved and had participated in the preparation of this anomalous budget, the national expenditure of the government, Chis Escudero and Saldico. Insofar as the Legislative Department is concerned, yun ang kanyang binanggit Of course, there are other actors there coming from the Congress of the Philippines, both in the Senate and in the House. But at the same time, sinabi ni House Speaker na mas malala ang participation ng Executive Department dito. Because it is the Executive Department that prepares the National Expenditure Program. And it is the Executive Department that will approve also the General Appropriation Act and eventually the disbursement and execution of these projects. As to whether these projects are properly executed or not, he said that the Congress of the Philippines or members thereof do not have any say. Yan ang sinabi niya. Totoo ba yun? Hindi ko alam. Pero yan ang kanyang statement So he's trying to put all the blame to the Executive Department than his office in particular. And he made mention of his somehow accomplishment in his legislative district in Leyte. So these are statements that are declaration for or against his interest. The fact remains, he did not categorically say that there was indeed corruption committed by him. But he did not also deny that indeed there was corruption that was committed by the government. Both members of Congress were involved and the members of the Executive Department who, according to him, have a bigger accountability and responsibility. In other words, he impliedly admitted that there is massive corruption in government. That's why he issued that warning that he cannot be used as a fall guy. As a fall guy. So tingnan natin kung ano ang mangyayari dito. At tulad nga ng nabanggit ko rin na hopefully itong ating mga investigative bodies like NBI and other agencies of government take a look at these statements coming from the House Speaker, former House Speaker. Why not take a look very closely kung totoo nga itong mga basis ba itong mga ito? And not just deny itong mga 18 soldiers, former soldiers, that have bravely issued their sworn statements in affidavit form na ganito yung kanilang naging observation and participation in the so-called maleta ng basura scandal. At the last note, this may be not one of the topics that have been included in our agenda today, but I have to say this for the sake of our Filipino youth, mga kabataang Pilipino. Masakit na masakit po sa akin na malaman ang isang balita na may mga kabataang Pilipinong napatay sa engkwentrong naganap sa Negros Occidental, na kung saan involved na naman ang teroristang grupong NPA, CPP, NDF. At ang mga sangkot dito ay mga estudyante na galing sa pinagpipitaga ng pinakamaganda na pamantasan sa bansa, ang University of the Philippines. Masakit sa akin po yun na malaman na itong ating mga kabataan ay masasangkot at mapapatay sa isang engkwentro sa mura nilang kaisipan. Dahil tatlo sa aking mga anak nakapag-aral at nakapagtapos. 3 children of mine have studied and graduated the University of the Philippines. Nagpapasalamat ako sa Diyos na tama yung landas na kanilang tinahak at hindi sila nasama sa grupong ito. Pero nakalulungkot na may mga guro na iba yung kanilang tinuturo sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino. At nakalulungkot ng ating pamahalaan ay parang binabaliwala ang sitwasyon na ito, na itong grupong teroristang ito, lalong-lalo na yung kanilang mga kasamang political front organizations, ay naging kabahagi na rin nitong tinatawag na collaborative efforts to demolish the Vice President and the Duterte family. Pero hindi nila inaasikaso itong karapatan at itong pangangalaga doon sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga nag-aaral po dyan sa University of the Philippines. To the bereaved family of these fallen young people, my condolence and I'm sorry, I pray for the eternal repose of the soul of your children. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Attorney Raul Lambino. Last but not the least, the charismatic young Vice Mayor of Reina Mercedes in Isabela, Attorney Harold Prestigio, for your closing statement.
BBM, Kapsat, mag-ingat ka. Pag natuloy ang impeachment ni VP Sara Duterte, magkakaroon ng revolusyon sa Pilipinas. Bakit? Una sa lahat, ayaw na ng mga Pilipino sa iyo. Dahil totoo ang nangyaring malawakang korupsyon at ikaw ang may kasalanan at ikaw ang itinuturo ng lahat. Pangalawa, ang gusto nilang pumalit sa iyo ay si VP Sara Duterte. At ang ipinipilit mong mga taong umawak ng pwesto sa kanya, nakapalit niya, ay hindi naman namin kilala at hindi namin gusto. Kaya simpleng tanong lang po, papayag ba ang Pilipinas na magpatuloy ang malawakang korupsyon? Hindi po. Kaya dapat umalis si BBM. Papayag ba ang Pilipinas na hindi si VP Sara Duterte ang papalit sa kanya? Hindi rin po. Dahil ayaw namin yung mga tao na ipinupush nila na pumalik sa kanya. Hindi namin sila kilala. Kung ayaw namin ang mga leader na nakaupo at ayaw namin yung mga leader na ipapalit, garantisado BBM, magkakaroon ng revolusyon sa Pilipinas.
Thank you very much. Before we end, nakalimutan ko i-mention, today pala, April 23 is UNESCO's World Book Day. So we'd like to ask, very short answer lang, kay Attorney Raul Lambino and Attorney Harold Despicio, any favorite books you have? Today pala is World Book Day. Dito sa Kamuning Bakery, we love books. We have a lot of book events. We also sell books.
Well, I have a lot of books. I do read a lot. Of
Yes.
course, ranging from
Yes.
law books to novels of John Grisham and
Yes.
others. No?
Yes.
Pero always, my favorite book is the Bible. The Bible is always my favorite book.
Favorite. Thank you. Vice Mayor Harold Despicio, any favorite books before now?
Madalas po, kapag lumalabas ako sa mga ganitong event, naboboring po ako. Meron akong dalang
Wow.
parating pocket book.
Wow. Ano
Ang pocket book ko na dala ngayon ay yung mga quotes ni Oscar Wilde. Isa sa mga
Wow.
paborito kong author. At itong mga quotes niya na ito mula sa Penguin Classics, Only Dull People Are Brilliant at Breakfast, may mga random quotations dito. Pampag-good
Wow.
vibes every time. So maghanap tayo ng isang random quotation ngayong umagang ito. Alright, basahin natin.
Galing.
Okay. Where will it all end? Half the world does not believe in God, and the other half does not believe in me. Alright, kahit pa paano po, ang taong bayan dapat merong pinapaniwalaan.
Galing.
Naniniwala sila sa isang leader na malaki. Una sa lahat ang Panginoon. Tulad sabi ni Atty. Lambino, maniwala muna tayo sa Bible. O kung ano man ang religious mo, sa higher being, religion mo sa higher being. Pero maniwala rin din tayo sa pamumuno ng ating bansa, kung sino ang pamunuan sa ating bansa. Dahil siya ang nagdidirekta ng ating kabuhayan dito sa libutan ito. Kung siya mismo, sa kanya mismo wala tayong tiwala, ano na lang ang mararating natin? Lalo na wala tayong tiwala sa Panginoong Diyos din. Yun po. Kaya maganda
Thank you.
yung book na ito.
Ang galing. May libro pa dati. So, Happy World Book Day to everyone. I once again thank you to our two speakers. Before we end, i-mention ka lang pala, very small trivia. Today is the birth anniversary of one of the suki of Kamuning Bakery before si George Canseco, the musician. He used to live here in K1st Street. Ang nagsabi sa akin yan, yung bagong residente ng bahay na yan, another famous person. So, once again, thank you to our very talented, courageous, and very frank speakers today, Attorney Raul Lambino and Attorney Harold Bishop, Vice Mayor also. It doesn't matter whether you are presidente or ambassador or movie star, everyone here gets